Hi everybody, I'm so excited to share the third step of the Harness the Power of Your Mind process. So let's do a little recap. So the first week of our learning together was on observing the mind and taking inventory. Many of us focus on external things to try and change our lives. What I have found is that if we go inside and transform our minds, we begin to get new outer results in just the most beautiful way. So when we look inside our minds, we begin to see just how busy our minds are. And what I've found over the years of working in my own journey of transformation and working with so many people around the globe is that there are three kinds of thinking that typically drain the most energy. The first is our fears. The second is self-judgment, or what we can call the voice of the inner critic. The third kind of thinking is our past pains that are constantly draining our energy because we just haven't brought them to closure yet. So the first week, we began to be more self-aware. And what I encouraged you to do was to observe these three kinds of thinking and begin to write them down. It's so helpful to see it on paper because it's highly repetitive thinking. The thinking you thought today, you thought the day before and the day before and the day before that, right? So these are very strong thought patterns that we have that we typically don't question. So now when we put them on paper, we can start to see, hey, what am I doing to myself? What is this thought triggering in me emotionally? And then when I feel that way, what steps of action do I take and what patterns am I creating in my life? We can trace all of our life patterns and results back to these thoughts that need to be transformed. So then I offered you a second step. The second step is to look at those kinds of thoughts and begin to transform them one thought at a time. And here's what we did. We took our fears. Our fears are focused on what we don't want to have happen in the future, and we transformed them into statements of vision. So if you don't want that, what do you want to see happen in your future? What's a positive visualization of your future? Your vision statements. And we began to write down our vision of our desired future. Then we took those thoughts of self-judgment and we realized that our inner critic likes to beat us up, but maybe we don't want to drain our energy anymore in that way. And we began to ask ourselves, instead of what's wrong with me, which is about judgment, we began to ask ourselves, what's right with me? What's good in me? And we began to start writing down new thinking, which is the thinking of self-compassion, or the thinking of how we would see ourselves if we were our own best friend. So we got that down on paper. And then the third thing we started to do was look at those past pains and ask ourselves, is there anything I'm ready to forgive in myself or in things that have happened in my past? Is there some step I can begin to take to bring closure to childhood traumas and difficulties and disappointments that we've experienced along the way so that we can begin to come out of our past pain, get the gems of wisdom from the sacred wounds that we were given so that we can then become more powerful and purposeful in the present moment. Some of us may need some support from a coach or from a therapist to do that work of cleaning up our past. So that was week 2. And so many of you have written down your new thoughts. So now what? Well, this is where the rubber meets the road, friends. It's called week 3, which is practice, practice, practice to create new habits of thought. So those old patterns, well, some of us have mastered negativity. Some of us have become masters of fear and judgment of ourselves because we've thought those thoughts over and over and over. We have super strong negativity muscles in our brain. And now, here's where the work comes in. We need to create positivity muscles, new muscles in our mind that become our natural and go-to way of looking at and thinking of ourselves and our lives. So how do we go about doing this? So remember, our brain has the ability to become new. We can create new neural pathways in our minds. So each time you think your new thoughts, you're firing and wiring those new pathways together in your mind. And if you do that long enough, you're going to develop very strong, amazing neural pathways that are full of thoughts of positivity and empowerment and peace and purpose. You're going to create new thinking that then allows you to feel better. And if you feel better, you're going to make better choices. You're going to take actions on your dreams and goals. You're going to become unstoppable in the face of difficulties. And then you're going to get new results in your life. So let me tell you a little story about how this works. So when I was a freshman at Princeton University, I was recruited for the basketball team. And when I showed up on campus, I had no muscles, basically. I was strong, of course, from just doing basic workouts, but I had never gone to the weight room. So my coach decided that all of us had to go to the weight room several times a week. So she put us in partners. I had no idea how to lift weights or do these exercises. So I had to learn from scratch, how do I get the right form? How do I show up and really do the exercises that I'm told to do? And she promised me that if I just kept showing up, I was going to become really strong and I'd be a much better player. So I trusted what she told me, and I showed up. Now, when you first start lifting weights, what you find is your muscles hurt tremendously after doing these workouts. You are in pain because you are discovering new muscles that you never had, and you're building them. And that process of building muscles takes showing up regularly to do it. And it takes patience in learning how to do it well. And it also takes a willingness to move through the uncomfortable feelings of building these new muscles until you get new muscles. So about 3 months after doing this work in the gym, I looked in the mirror and I noticed I had biceps and triceps, and I was all kinds of muscles popping out all over me. And I just realized then, oh my goodness, I'm getting results. I became more motivated to grow more muscles. And my coach was right. Because of the new muscles I had, I was able to make new moves, pull rebounds more powerfully. I became a much more unstoppable player on the basketball court because I had developed new muscles. So that is my challenge to each one of you as Earth Angels. Are you willing to put in the work to become unstoppable in your life? To become one of those fearless leaders, bold, courageous, willing to handle whatever comes their way, positive leader of change in challenge? Can you develop the new thinking to believe in yourself even when things aren't going your way? If you put in the inner work, you're going to develop new inner muscles. Okay, so let me make it really easy for you. You don't have to do crazy long inner workouts. You can start simple. 5 minutes a day, every day this week. Practice your new thinking. Here's how you're going to do it. You can make it really easy. So you wake up in the morning and you have your breakfast. You're going to also then, at the same time, take some time to practice your new thoughts. Maybe you're going to do that at lunch and dinner as well. Maybe before bed. You're going to find ways, simple ways, to incorporate practicing your new thoughts, reading them in your mind or aloud with passion, feeling the emotion of the new thoughts, seeing the possibility of, if I thought this way, what might begin to happen in my life? And you're going to find simple ways to do that. You could record your new thoughts in an audio note and play it on your phone. You could practice these new thoughts when you're stuck in traffic. Again, any kind of repetition you can do to fire those new neural pathways so that they wire strongly together. Then, in difficulty, or when those old thought patterns arise, you're going to say, nah, I don't want the old. I want the new. And I have the ability to now access those new thoughts because I've repeated them over and over and over until they become my natural new habit. Do the inner work. Create a workout inside yourself that works for you. Remember, you can just do a little at a time. Daily baby steps add up to going long distances. In positive psychology, they call it the rule of 1%. If you just decide you're going to get 1% better every day, it adds up over time, it compounds, and you do that for a period of time, you're going to end up being 30, 40, 50% better the longer that you stick with it. Are you up for the challenge? If so, comment. Tell me, what are you going to commit to this week? What's your inner workout going to be? Tell me your plan for incorporating your new thoughts into your thinking routine during the day. I'm here to support you. I know this is going to be uncomfortable and new for some of you. That's okay. it's going to be uncomfortable for a while. But soon, a few weeks from now, you're going to be saying, oh wow, this is getting easier. My muscles are getting stronger. And a few months from now, you're going to be like, why did I ever think that old way? Those thoughts, they just don't work for me. And you're going to be in awe of the progress you make. My goal is that Earth Angels, global grassroots positive agents of change, become undauntable, unstoppable, powerful, passionate, unlocking their potential. So this is part of it. The inner work is going to get us outer results. Let's go there. We rise together.